ready. As an Iraq War veteran and Purple Heart recipient, pride in what I do is everything. Let me show you the difference in how my team and I execute your pool project with military precision. Call Purple Heart Pools, Jacksonville's veteran pool company.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Thursday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Aaron Williams. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us on what is a big day here in Jacksonville. We've been talking about it all day. I got a little bit of a different twist from my own, but it is the 1 year anniversary to a date that forever changed, or we hope that forever changed, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Certainly changed them for the next 365 days at least. It was 1 year ago today, January 22nd of 2025, that all heck broke loose. Liam Cohen took his name out of the running for the Jaguar coaching job. Then all of a sudden, Trent Baalke was relieved of his duties a few hours later. And by the next morning, Liam Cohen was in Jacksonville talking with the Jaguars. And as we know, the rest, as they say, is history. And all of that went down 1 year ago today. So we're going to talk a lot about that, the year that was here in Jacksonville. I got a pretty interesting story that I'll share with you guys in a moment involving myself and Ryan O'Halloran of the Florida Times-Union. And in fact, Ryan will join us coming up here in less than 20 minutes on the 1 year anniversary of the dismissal of Trent Baalke. So that's going to be a majority of our program tonight. We will go out to Phoenix as well, out to the desert where Anthony Campanile reportedly was today. He virtually interviewed with the Cardinals, I guess this past weekend, and he was out there for an in-person interview today. Means he's probably a finalist for the Arizona job. So we'll talk with Tyler Drake of ArizonaSports.com. He's also the host of the Cardinals Corner podcast about the thought on Campanile out there in Arizona and how much in play he really is. He also interviewed Campanile did in Miami. That job went to Jeff Hafley from Green Bay. He interviewed in Baltimore. Well, that job today has gone to Jesse Minter. So it appears Arizona is probably the final shot for Campanile this time around. If Arizona doesn't go with Campanile, it is very likely at that point that he will be back in Jacksonville in 2026. But we'll see. Obviously, Arizona likes Campanile for the fact that they brought him out for a second in-person interview. So we'll talk with Tyler Drake of ArizonaSports.com about where Camp sits among the pecking order out there for the Arizona Cardinals. And towards the bottom part of the 9 o'clock hour, we will talk a little Gator basketball, a little SEC basketball. Blake Lovell of the Southeastern 16 podcast does a terrific job covering SEC hoops. Blake was one of our main guys last year as the Gators were making their run towards a national title. This is the first time this season I've had a chance to talk with Blake, and we got a lot of ground to cover as far as where Florida started, why they have turned the corner, and where they are going. They're 14-5 right now after a 5-4 start. They're 5-1 in the SEC, and they're once again going to be ranked in the top 15 in the country. So we'll talk a lot of Gator hoops with Blake Lovell coming up later on here in the 9 o'clock hour. We're glad you're with us on a Thursday on Hacker After Dark. Every night on HAD, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Aaron Williams. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Okay, I want to tell you a story about January 22nd, 2025. Last year. Aaron, you're new to this game, but you'll appreciate this. You've been producing Hacker After Dark for all of 4 days, but you're getting a gist pretty quick of how things work around here, so you'll appreciate this story. So last year, on January 22nd, Ryan O'Halloran was writing for the Buffalo News still. He hadn't come back to Jacksonville yet. And I had Ryan on, I recorded with him that morning for 2 reasons. Number one, I wanted to preview at that point what was the AFC Championship game between Buffalo and Kansas City. And number two, I wanted to talk to Ryan about potential head coaching candidates for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Liam Cohen came up in that conversation. So we recorded the interview. It was all great. Told Ryan I appreciate it. I'll talk to him later. 3 hours after that interview, Liam Cohen took his name out of the running for the Jacksonville Jaguar head coaching job. Still January 22nd of 2025. So I text Ryan. I'm like, hey, man, we probably need to redo some of that interview. Cohen took his name out. Can we re-record? And Ryan was cool. Yeah, absolutely. Let's re-record something. So we knocked off the first part of the Cohen interview from interview number 1. Talked about him being out of it, pieced it together for interview number 2. Once again, for the second time that day. I said, appreciate it, man. Talk to you later. 3 hours after that, Trent Baalke was out of a job. So for the third time that day, January 22nd of 2025, I call Ryan O'Halloran. I say, you've got to be kidding. And he just started laughing. He's like, this is crazy. And we just redid the entire interview. I interviewed him 3 times last year, January 22nd, 2025, in what was one of the craziest days in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I actually appreciated Ryan talking about that story in his column this morning on the Florida Times-Union, Jacksonville.com, regarding the 1-year anniversary of Trent Baalke's dismissal. And we will have Ryan O'Halloran join us coming up here on Hacker After Dark tonight in less than 15 minutes. So it is 1 year since Baalke was relieved of his duties. Now, let me say this. And I put this on Twitter earlier today. And I knew that I was taking a risk by putting this on Twitter because you can't say anything positive about Trent Baalke, right? That's frowned upon in this city. And by the way, Trent Baalke needed to go. He deserved to go. I'm happy he's no longer here because of the job that James Gladstone and obviously Liam Cohen wouldn't be here if Baalke was still here. So don't mistake what I'm saying. I'm about to rip Trent Baalke, but I will give him some flowers at the beginning of this statement. You know, we're quick to jump on the guy. We're quick to jump on him and kick him while he's down and all the bad things that he did. And certainly he did a lot of bad things, right? I mean, the coaching hires were not very good. Some of the draft picks were not very good. Some of the free agent acquisitions were not very good. Just in general, he did not mesh with this fan base at all. Just didn't work. It was oil and water. Just didn't work. But if we're nothing else here on Hacker After Dark, we're fair, right? In the interest of fairness, let me just throw this at you. Parker Washington, Brian Thomas Jr., Brenton Strange, Anton Harrison, Trayvon Walker, Devin Lloyd, Buster Brown, Jarian Jones, Antonio Johnson, Ventrell Miller, Cam Little, Cole Van Lannon, Ezra Cleveland, Walker Little, and then, of course, Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. Devon Hamilton as well. What do all those guys have in common? Every one of them? Well, they were either drafted by or traded for by Trent Baalke when he was the general manager of the team. It's pretty good, right? Now, I think there's a difference in being a GM between roster construction and being a good player evaluator. I mean, if you go off that list, let me just start with the top row again. Parker Washington, Brian Thomas Jr., Brenton Strange, Anton Harrison. Are you kidding? It's pretty good. All guys that were drafted by Trent Baalke. Parker Washington was a 6th-round pick. Brenton Strange was a 2nd-round pick. Anton Harrison, late 1st. Brian Thomas Jr., late 1st. Devin Lloyd, late 1st. Buster Brown, round 7. Jarian Jones, round 3. Antonio Johnson, round 5. Ventrell Miller, round 4. Cam Little, round 6. If we're going to crush the guy on the 1-year anniversary of his dismissal, let's at least acknowledge the fact that it wasn't all horrible. A lot of it was horrible. A good portion of it was horrible. But I know that people are almost celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Baalke being fired, and I just simply wanted to point out that he did some good things. Now, back to the 1-year anniversary. This is the day 1 year ago, January 22nd of 2025, that the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise changed. Did it change forever? Yet to be seen, but it certainly has changed for the last calendar year, and we hope the change continues for years to come. If Shad Khan did not relieve Trent Baalke of his duties, Liam Cohen would not be here as the head coach, and obviously James Gladstone would not be here as the general manager. I am forever thankful that Shad Khan did what he did a year ago yesterday, because simply look at the results. Liam Cohen is a finalist for the NFL Coach of the Year. Trevor Lawrence is a finalist for the NFL Most Valuable Player Award. Are you kidding? In your wildest dreams, who would have thought that back in August? Wildest dreams. But yet here we are. And it's as a result of Shad Khan pulling the plug on Trent Baalke. Baalke was here with Urban Meyer. Baalke was here with Doug Peterson. And for 16 long, excruciating days, we thought Trent Baalke was going to be here with the 3rd head coach during his tenure with the Jaguars. You know, I go back to that Zoom press conference with Shad Khan and Trent Baalke on January 6th after Peterson was fired. And I go back to those 16 days last year between January 6th and January 22nd. You could argue, in the fan base's eyes, that's 16 of the lowest days in the history of the Jaguar franchise. People were nauseous at the idea that nothing was changing except head coach. But then on January 22nd, 1 year ago today, Liam Cohen took his name out of the running and said he was going to return to Tampa. Why did he do that? We all know why he did that. 4 hours later, Baalke's out of a job, and 24 hours after that, Liam Cohen is the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't want to kill Trent Baalke with this diatribe. What I'm saying is he did some good things as general manager. You would be inaccurate if you said everything he did was awful, because it wasn't. But it was time for him to go. The clock had run out. Thankfully, Shad Khan realized that sooner rather than later. Thankfully, or I guess I should say, sometimes better late than never. And you see the results with Liam Cohen, with James Gladstone, and with Tony Boselli. So happy 1-year anniversary to all those who observe January 22nd of 2025, a day that appears the Jaguar franchise was forever changed. 904-641-1010 on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Your thoughts always welcome here on Hacker After Dark. Again, 904-641-1010. Couple of things before we get to Ryan O'Halloran of the Florida Times-Union and Jacksonville.com. I mentioned Grant Udinski. He's scheduled to interview in person tomorrow with Cleveland, and then he is set to visit Buffalo for an interview on Sunday. I would be flabbergasted. I'd be floored if Grant Udinski was the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Flabbergasted. Nothing against Udinski, but do you think Buffalo, with where they are and how close they've been and all the negativity surrounding that organization after that awful press conference yesterday, if they brought in a 30-year-old head coach, first-time head coach that has never called offensive plays, Bills Mafia may riot. I'd be stunned if Udinski gets the Buffalo job. Cleveland, I think there's a real chance there. Although, and we talked to Scott Petrak last night, he's our guy up in Cleveland with BrownZone.com. He thinks Jim Schwartz is the number one option. And if you look today at some of the betting lines that weigh these sort of things, give the odds on these sort of things, Schwartz now is the odds-on favorite, according to most of these websites. Udinski was up until a day or two ago. Now it appears to be Jim Schwartz. We shall see. As far as Anthony Campanile, he's interviewed in Miami. They have filled their head coaching vacancy. He interviewed in Baltimore. They have now filled their head coaching vacancy by hiring Jesse Minter tonight. And the last one you have to worry about is probably Arizona. Campanile virtually interviewed this past weekend. Reportedly was out there in the desert today for an interview. We're going to get the very latest. Tyler Drake, ArizonaSports.com, is going to join us a little under an hour from now. I thought coming into this process, both coordinators would be back. But it's been a 24-hour roller coaster. Some days now, I think one or both guys are gone. As we sit here tonight at 8:16 Eastern Standard Time on January 22nd, 2026, I don't know. I think Udinski is coming back. I don't know about Campanile with Arizona. If I were a betting man now, I'd say both come back, but I think it's still very much up in the air. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Jaguar offseason to be, and we will reminisce about one of the craziest days in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1 year ago today is when Trent Baalke was relieved of his duties. Let's get Ryan O'Halloran of the Florida Times-Union and Jacksonville.com. He joins us next on a Thursday night here in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Planting roots on the First Coast.
Where it feels like home, I got everything I need.
1010XL.
Homegrown.
Welcome to Key Buick GMC, proudly family-owned and operated since 1943. Come see why they're North Florida's new and pre-owned truck center, conveniently located on Southside and JTB, just minutes from the St. John's Town Center. At Key Buick GMC, every new vehicle comes with our lifetime powertrain warranty. Key Buick GMC, we are professional grade. Online at KeyBuickGMC.com. Lifetime powertrain warranty covers engine, transmission, drivetrain only. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
Did you know your roof ages from the inside out? By the time you see a leak, damage already exists beneath the shingles. Sun exposure, humidity, and seasonal storms slowly weaken roofing materials over time. If your roof is 15 years old or more, then now's the time to start planning, not reacting. At Endless Summer Roofing, we provide professional inspections and clear guidance so you can make informed decisions. Visit EndlessSummerRoofing.com to schedule a free inspection. Endless Summer Roofing, protecting your home from Florida's endless summer.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On January 22nd, 2006, Kobe Bryant scored 81 points for the Lakers in a win versus the Raptors, the second highest total ever.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
If you're at home on the range, tee it up with the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Tour news, local updates, and the latest gear. The Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at over $4,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar or trade it in for a new piece and get even more at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. Before termites attack your home or business and cause costly damage, Terminix it. Terminix stops termites in my home fast. These destructive pests may have been around for millions of years, but before they show up, so does Terminix. And their time is up. Don't live with a termite problem. I certainly wasn't going to. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. Terminix.com.
Hey, it's Travis from Cannons of Jacks. Thank you for trusting us for 55 years of custom welding fabrication and vehicle towing accessories. When you need a trailer hitch for the family car, a gooseneck for the company truck, or even RV towing options, call us at Cannons. We can do a bumper hitch, fifth wheel hitch, anything for safe, reliable towing. Come to Cannons of Jacks, where service is our #1 priority and we treat our customers as we like to be treated. Check us out online, cannonsofjacks.com.
If someone you love needs a pick-me-up, then it's time to get serious about it and send them a Kuhn floral arrangement. JJ here with 1010XL. You'll be assured of a quality delivery, that's for sure. Log on and order online at kuhnflowers.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. You know, I've done thousands of interviews over 20 years on 1010XL and prior radio stations before that. And you always lay out your day and you think, all right, I'm doing this and this and this. Well, 1 year ago today, January 22nd, 2025, I had a scheduled interview with Ryan O'Halloran, and we did that interview, recorded it early in the morning. And then news broke that Liam Cohen had taken his name out of the running for the Jaguar job. So we had to record a second interview. And then unbelievably, Trent Baalke was fired hours later. And yes, we had to record a third interview. And Ryan O'Halloran of the Florida Times-Union now was so gracious with his time 1 year ago today. And I thought we would have him on the year anniversary to reminisce. Ryan, how are you, my friend?
Hackers, good journey, buddy. And yeah, I was in Kansas City that day, covering the Chiefs-Bills lead up for the Buffalo News. And as we usually do, we talk about the playoffs. But it was probably one of the most remarkable days in Jaguars history that did not include a game.
There's no doubt, and I know you had a big write-up this morning in the Times-Union, and I really enjoyed your piece on it. What are your fondest memories from that day? Now, again, you were in Buffalo at the time. You're obviously back here in Jacksonville now, so you were watching it from afar last year when Trent Baalke was fired. But what are your biggest memories from that day?
Well, the number one takeaway is as I was looking up the timeline while writing that column was an organization went from a laughing stock to having a plan in the span of 4 hours, which is pretty impressive. Granted, ownership got themselves into that mess by retaining GM Trent Baalke for the first 2+ weeks of that search. But I think remember our first conversation, in addition to the playoffs, was, hey, signs are pointing toward Liam Cohen. Do you like the hire? Well, then it was Liam Cohen drops out. At that point, you're like, okay, what is this franchise doing? Why can't they get out of their own way? Why are they spinning their wheels again? How unattractive is this job because the general manager is still in place? Finally, till late that afternoon was, you give a hat tip to Shad Khan. He realized there was a problem, and he pivoted, even if he had mud on his face for about 2 minutes.
You know, the crazy thing is, and I made this comparison yesterday, that weird press conference that the Buffalo Bills had, you know, I think back to last year, the Jaguars almost had something similar. There was a Zoom press conference with Shad Khan and Trent Baalke the day that Doug Peterson was fired, and I remember walking out of that press conference after watching it thinking, holy cow, I mean, what are we doing here? And then lo and behold, 16 days later, on January 22nd, Trent Baalke was ultimately fired. And the 180, and I think you made a great point in your final statement on your story today. It was the day that everything changed for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We are at the 1-year anniversary, Ryan, of the day that everything did indeed change.
Yeah, without Shad Khan's move to fire Trent Baalke, Tony Baselli would not be the EVP, James Gladstone would not be the GM, Liam Cohen would not be the head coach. 3 people who have helped orchestrate a 9-win turnaround. Now you're getting into the questions of, okay, if it would have been Robert Saleh as head coach, who would have been his offensive coordinator? Would this person help Trevor Lawrence make a big uptick in his production? Would Saleh been able to turn around this defense like Anthony Campanile did? So it is such a big what-if game. And you mentioned the Bills joint presser with Pegula and Bean on Wednesday. I think a little bit of that, but Brandon Bean's been promoted. He's not going anywhere. Whereas you couldn't wrap your mind around the fact that Trent Baalke was going to run that coaching search last year. In Buffalo, you can understand it a little bit. I would have made a clean sweep with Bean and McDermott, but yeah, it did have a little bit of a similarity in the terms of just the tone and the intensity of the questions.
Ryan O'Halloran of the Florida Times-Union. Ryan, you and I haven't spoke since the season ended. Obviously a disappointing end, certainly in the playoffs, but big picture-wise, 13-4. How did Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, and Tony Baselli do this in 1 year's time?
I mean, a combination of their acumen. They signed some smart free agents. Some of them, others didn't work out, like De'Ami Brown. And I think the biggest thing, and this is where I do give Trent Baalke and his former personnel staff a little bit of a lot of credit, actually, is the players that they acquired played well this year. Well, that also goes into the player development side of this Liam Cohen coaching staff. So, they inherited players who maybe had underperformed, and they helped them get better. So if you add it all up, it was players arriving to help reset the culture, returning players like Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Devin Lloyd, Parker Washington, Brenton Strange, etc., taking their game to a new level. And also, I think the play calling of Liam Cohen often was a big difference in finding opportunities to make big plays.
We find out earlier this morning that Liam Cohen is a finalist for the Associated Press Coach of the Year. Ryan, I don't know if he'll win it. I tend to doubt it because of the job. You look at like a Mike Vrabel in New England, and with good reason. I mean, he's done an amazing job there. But I don't know if there's a better coach that's done a better job this year than what Liam Cohen did here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and I think Vrabel deserves it because that was a 4-13 team, but that was a really bad 4-13 team with a younger quarterback. So yeah, but Liam Cohen and for listeners, by the fact that they're named finalists means they're guaranteed to be top 5 in voting. So people thought he was one of the top 5 coaches in the NFL this year, and he was, Liam Cohen. So he probably won't win it, but I think it's a deserved accolade for both him and Trevor Lawrence with the MVP and comeback player of the year that as the season went along, and I pointed the Denver game. The Broncos were rolling at that point. The Jaguars go to Mile High and win 34-20 and quite frankly handle them in the second half. that got the Jaguars on the radar in terms of it was a team to be reckoned with. It was a coach and quarterback to be respected.
Couple of more for Ryan O'Halloran of the Florida Times-Union. You mentioned Trevor Lawrence. He's also a finalist for the MVP and Comeback Player of the Year, which I didn't even really think about until it was announced earlier today. What a turnaround for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, specifically his last 6 games. At the bye, one playing well. They were 4-3. With 6, after the Arizona game, they had started their winning streak. They were 7-4, but he had 4 turnovers. From then on, he had 1 turnover in the last 6 regular season games. So, whatever, coaches and players like to say it wasn't a flip of the switch. Well, something did click. It might have been more than one thing. And what you saw from Trevor Lawrence was being aggressive, but being smart, running the football when it was there against man coverage. And being able to protect himself when he was doing that. So a great comeback story from his shoulder and his concussion. And I would hope he gets maybe some first and second place votes for that.
Ryan, that league calendar never stops. I mean, we're Championship Sunday, the Super Bowl, and then bam, we're a month away from the Combine. We're 6 weeks away from free agency, and the Jaguars have a lot of questions to answer. First and foremost, let's begin with, I call them the big 4 free agents. Let's start in the secondary. What's your thought on the futures of Greg Newsome and Monteric Brown?
I would say Buster Brown is more of a priority. Greg Newsome, this is his first kick at the free agent can. He's made a lot of money as a first-round pick. I just didn't see that being a fit long term. They traded Tyson Campbell in large part to get some of his future money off the books. Now they gave it a shot with Newsome. It's nobody's fault, but I think Greg moves on. I do think they should re-sign Buster Brown because corners are easier to retain and draft than they are to acquire in free agency and via trade. So that's how I would do it there. And that points to Travis Hunter being a corner full time. In addition, I'm sure some offensive snaps.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I mean, you look at the guys that are under contract: Brian Thomas, Parker Washington, obviously Jacoby Myers. There looks like there's going to be a bigger need in the secondary. Do you feel the Jaguars will continue doing what they're doing and playing him on both sides, or primarily playing him at defensive back in 2026?
I mean, I think the smart move, and I think the move will be primarily as a corner, because as James Gladstone, he used that word, need. Liam Cohen used that word throughout the early part of the season. Where do they need Travis Hunter the most in that particular game? Well, entering training camp, it's going to be at corner unless they make some other moves. You mentioned the receivers. I'll add Brenton Strange at tight end. He's going to be one of your top 4 pass catchers. So I'm not sure where the touches would come from for Hunter. I think he can make an impact on this team if he plays 100% of the defensive snaps. And then if you want to wean him in on offense, great. The key thing, and I'll keep banging this drum, is he's coming off a major injury. You probably will not see him wear a football helmet until training camp. There's going to be some callousing up that's going to need to be done there. There's going to be some managing of practice snaps that will need to be done. That's not a knock on Travis Hunter. That's a fact of health. So that's how I would play it, and that's how I expect the Jaguars to play it.
Final moments with Ryan O'Halloran. I had the founder of Spot Track, Mike Giannetti, on last week, and we talked about Devin Lloyd, and they're talking upwards of 19 to 20 million per for Devin Lloyd. Ryan, if that's the case, he's as good as gone, correct?
Correct, and the Jaguars would take that 3rd-round compensatory pick in 2027 and say, good luck to Devin. Shoot, I mean, if he's coming in at 13, 14, 15, I still think that's not a price that the Jaguars are comfortable with. And you have a lot of those picks in day 2 and day 3 of the draft. You can try and find somebody to play that position next to Oluokun. So, that, and I wrote this last week, and I think it applies to ETN, who I also would be surprised if he returns, is the price of having success as a team is you have to thank veterans for their service, even if you want to keep them, because they price themselves out of your plan.
Well, I think you got to look big picture, because you look at Brenton Strange, Parker Washington, they're both eligible for contracts. Anton Harrison, even Antonio Johnson, you got to Trayvon Walker, obviously. I mean, you got to start thinking long term as far as extending some of these guys.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the 3 that I would have the focus on would be Washington, Strange, and Harrison. you know, you don't see a lot of contract extensions after a player's third year early in that offseason. You know, when I covered the Bills, they did a lot of that work around Labor Day. You know, once you get them in the camp, and it all depends on cap flexibility. Do you want to put a lot of their money on this year's cap? So I do think Washington should be a priority. Strange is one, and then what Anton Harrison. I'll be interested to see what they go there. Trayvon Walker. I just don't see him being a long-term part of the plan after this season, after the 2026 season, because I think they're going to be so far apart on the money that you can maybe just go another direction with an edge rusher.
I know you made some noise with the thought about Max Crosby and possibly, Trayvon Walker and a potential trade package.
It was good noise because as I told readers, I don't care if you agree or disagree. Just thank you for reading. And one of the reasons why I put Trayvon Walker in that deal is you can't just have money coming in. You need money going out. And the Jaguars would be able to clear $15.1 million if they trade Walker as a part of that deal. I get it that you'd want to move him inside. Well, there's not a lot of money left if you add a Max Crosby. So to me, you look at the pass rush throughout parts of the season. I get James Gladstone's point that they created a lot of pressure, but at some point in that playoff game, you have to be able to get Josh Allen down, who's, by the way, headed toward foot surgery. So he wasn't himself. So that I think if you get a Crosby, or maybe if you sign a Trey Hendrickson and he's healthy, that adding a pass rusher to play opposite of Hines Allen could be the final piece for this team to take a big step again in 2026.
Ryan, final question. We'll certainly talk as developments warrant, but when we all reconvene in May at the Miller Electric Center for OTAs and it's full steam ahead for 2026, and we're out there reminiscing about 2025, what's your biggest takeaway from what the Jaguars accomplished this past season?
I'll give you two. One is just how good they were on defense, taking the ball away, because you just came to expect it. And the second part is they blew teams out. And that's tough to do in this league. And, they were a dominant team down the stretch. And that's what I would remember about this team is they were not a fluke. They went to Denver and won by double digits. They handled the teams that they should have handled. So that, people will say Lawrence, and that'll be my third one. But just from a team aspect is, can they continue the takeaway train? And also, can they continue to really just handle teams and blow them out?
Jaguar fans, head over to Jacksonville.com. The Florida Times-Union, Ryan O'Halloran, a terrific piece earlier this morning on the one-year anniversary of the Trent Baalke firing. Ryan, what else do you have coming out in the coming weeks?
Well, first of all, in that column, you can bring home a paper to Forrest and say, Dad got his name in the paper.
That's exactly right. Absolutely.
So, but a couple things is I visited with Todd Golden earlier this week in Gainesville. That column will be running in Friday's Times-Union. And then I'll be down at Auburn, Florida basketball on Saturday. And then we'll be mixing in some regular Jaguar stuff, but trying to branch out a little bit now that football's over.
Ryan, I know you're busy. Thank you so much for the time. We'll talk soon, pal.
Okay, Hacker. Thanks now.
Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care, Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergencies.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental. With light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, located in Bartram Park.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal. Is that a turtleneck? Can't you feel it, Jason? There's a chill in the air. A definite nip. I mean, it is January. In Jacksonville, Jason. I didn't come here for cold. Well, I wouldn't call this. Cold weather gives me the sniffles. Sniffles turns to pneumonia. Suddenly, I'm in a hospital bed with a tube down my throat because Florida didn't get the memo about ignoring winter. So, switch over to heat. What if my system can't remember how to heat? Dude, put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Bueller Air & Plumbing can make sure your system is ready to switch from cooling to heat. We'll clean your heating coil to get rid of that burning dust smell and make sure you have the coolant pressure to keep your heat pump pumping out the heat. I had no idea these sunglasses worked in the winter.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Get ready for an unforgettable night of classic rock with legendary Queensryche vocalist Jeff Tate.
Performing the hit album Operation Mindcrime for the final time.
One night only, January 28th at Florida Theater. Timeless hits from the unmistakable voice of Jeff Tate. Get your tickets now at floridatheater.com.
Checkmate.
I'm Brendan Cecilia, founder of Checkmate Coatings.
And I'm Chester, the adorable chess man on the trucks.
There are two things you should ask yourself about your garage floor. How clean is it now, and how clean would you like it to be? A typical bare concrete floor doesn't just collect dirt, it makes dirt.
It is literally made of dirt.
As much as you sweep and mop, the dust and grit just never ends.
And drips from your car seep into the pores, staining the concrete forever.
A Checkmate multi-layer floor resists drips and stains. It comes in your choice of dozens of colors and sweeps up sparkling clean in just seconds.
No need to wear shoes in the garage and track dirt back in the house.
Gorgeous?
Check. Durable?
Check. Tidy enough to walk on wearing clean white socks? Checkmate.
Transforming your floors, making them great. Checkmate.
Visit CheckmateCoatings.com. That's CheckmateCoatings.com.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
Frank Frangie for Lee and Kate's Glass, still family owned and in business for 100 years. When they say you're going to see a big difference, that's for everything. Custom showers and spas, tabletops, mirrors, even replacing foggy windows, all at a more affordable price. And with your satisfaction absolutely guaranteed, Lee and Kate's Glass is your best choice. Visit LeeandKatesGlass.com.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
Hey, Jacksonville DDH. Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here with the scoop from Dreamfinders Homes, your national builder of the year. We've got first-year interest rates as low as 2.99% and homes in 20-plus communities throughout Northeast Florida. If you're house hunting, make sure your first pick Dreamfinders Homes, the proud official home builder of the PGA Tour, the Florida Gators, and your Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit dfhsalesevent.com today and tell them Dreamfinders Danny sent you.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Once again, thank you to Ryan O'Halloran of the Florida Times Union and Jacksonville.com for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. As we mentioned earlier, there were 10 NFL head coaching openings when the coaching carousel started a week and a half ago. 5 of those positions have been filled. And we know this because the Jaguars have had a lot of experience in this over the last handful of years. Hope springs eternal, right? Every one of these fan bases thinks the guy they hired, brother, he's going to take them to the promised land. There's going to be no issues whatsoever. They're going to have a giant turnaround like Liam Cohen had here or like Ben Johnson had in Chicago. This is the month of hope, or months of hope. Reality tends to hit you in the face come September. But we're a long time away from that. Hope will be around for a good 8 months or so for a lot of these fan bases. And honestly, when you look at the New York Giants and John Harbaugh, well, I think you have reason to be hopeful there. Now, the question there is, all right, John Harbaugh's what? In his early 60s, late 50s, early 60s. Will the fire still be in the belly after 18 years in Baltimore to start a brand new chapter? I mean, obviously on the surface it is, because he got right back into it. Fired from Baltimore, was the head coach of the Giants a week and a half later. I do believe a guy like Kevin Stefanski is going to have something to prove in Atlanta. People forget that guy was NFL Coach of the Year at one point. And then their upper management made one of the worst trades in the history of the NFL in the Deshaun Watson fiasco. And Stefanski was never able to recover, but I don't know how many guys could have recovered from that. I think Stefanski's a good coach. I do think Atlanta got a good one, and I think they got a good one because of all the people that wanted to talk to Kevin Stefanski. He was in high demand. Atlanta never let him leave. They got him in the building and gave him an offer he simply couldn't refuse. So I think Harbaugh with the Giants, Stefanski with the Falcons, I get the excitement. Jeff Hafley with Miami, I have no idea, right? I mean, the defensive coordinator for Green Bay, it's a complete 180 from who they had before with Mike McDaniel. First-time head coach, defensive side of the ball. I don't really know what that means for Tua moving forward. We'll see what they do as the offensive coordinator. But I don't know if Miami fans should be over the moon about Jeff Hafley. I think he did a good job running the Green Bay defense. And I also think he was hired because the general manager who Miami hired also came from Green Bay. It looked like it was a package deal. Jesse Minter to Baltimore, that made too much sense. Jesse Minter just seemed like a Baltimore or a Pittsburgh type of guy, right? Tough-nosed defensive coordinator working under Jim Harbaugh at the University of Michigan, then going to the Chargers and working with Derwin James and Khalil Mack and all those great players out there. That, to me, just screamed Baltimore or Pittsburgh. Ultimately ends up being Baltimore. And then Robert Saleh, man, you know, I love my brethren up in Nashville. I got a lot of friends in Nashville that cover the Titans. We had one on last night, Tyler Rowland of the Locked On Titans podcast. But I got a lot of other guys that I'm just buddies with. You do this long enough, you just build relationships with guys in other markets. I go on their shows, they come on my show, and obviously with the Jaguars and the Titans in the same division, we've talked a lot to each other over the last 10, 15, 20 years. But the one thing I'll say about my media brethren in Nashville, I don't know, and I say this as lovingly as possible for a lot of those guys up there. I don't know if there's another media in the NFL that drinks the Kool-Aid quicker than the Tennessee Titans media drinks the Kool-Aid. You would think every general manager they bring in, and they've brought in a lot of them in the last 5 years, and every coach they bring in, and this is now their third coach in 4 years, man, this is the answer. This is going to get us over the top. This is the guy. This is the guy we've been waiting for. Titans are going to make a run. Titans are here. Titans this, Titans that. And inevitably, the general manager falls on their face. They're out after a year or two. The head coach falls on their face. They're out after a year or two. See Rand Carthon. See John Robinson. See Brian Callahan. It's not been good in Tennessee. But that Titan media, man, they want to win bad. And they always seem to drink the Kool-Aid. Robert Saleh, I have no idea. It did not end well for him in New York. That doesn't necessarily mean anything with Tennessee. The one thing I will say, though, it seemed like the Titans going into this search were set on replacing Mike Vrabel. They know they made a mistake with Mike Vrabel and letting him go. Tough-nosed, defensive coordinator, leader of men, right? Glory years with the Titans. They got impatient. They let Vrabel go. So it seems to me, and maybe Saleh works out there. I don't know. Maybe he does. But it seems to me they just basically are trying to clone Mike Vrabel. You get another humongous figure in the room, defensive guy, leader of men, in Robert Saleh. It just appears to me like they're trying to right a wrong. I'll be very interested to see what Tennessee does at offensive coordinator. There's reports out that Brian Daboll, the former coach of the Giants, is in play for the Buffalo job, where he was an offensive coordinator, obviously, not that long ago. But if Daboll does not get the Buffalo head coaching job, that he will be the OC in Nashville for Robert Saleh. And I got to tell you, on the surface there, Robert Saleh as the head coach, Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator, Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting proposition. But if Daboll does get the Buffalo head coaching job, then what does Tennessee do at OC? Because leader of men's all fine and well, you need somebody that can develop Cam Ward. Because if Cam Ward doesn't develop, the Titans franchise will be set back a good 3 or 4 years. Udinski and Campanile still very much involved in a couple of these jobs. Udinski interviews in Cleveland tomorrow. It'll be his second interaction with the Browns. Scheduled to meet in Buffalo on Sunday. I told you guys in the first segment, literally no more than 30 minutes ago, that I would be stunned if Grant Udinski was the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. With where they are as an organization, that nightmare of a press conference they had yesterday, I just don't know how it would look. And if it's the direction they want to go, to hire a 30-year-old offensive coordinator who's never called plays in the NFL. And I still believe that, but I can tell you this. Like I said, I got friends around the league in every market. I had a guy in the Buffalo media reach out to me in the last 20 minutes and says, hey, don't be surprised if Udinski's more in play than some people may think up here. That would be interesting to me. I mean, Josh Allen, his window of opportunity is now. The Bills need to win now. Getting to the playoffs has been proven to not be good enough for their owner, Terry Pegula. McDermott made the playoffs, 7, 8 years in a row? He got fired. Can you hire Grant Udinski and put that much pressure on a 30-year-old? I personally don't think so. But one of my colleagues in Buffalo says he might be more in it than people realize. We'll see. Also, Anthony Campanile for the Jaguar defensive side of the ball, the defensive coordinator, was out in Arizona earlier today. We will go out to the desert in about 15 or so minutes. Tyler Drake of ArizonaSports.com joins us to give his perspective on where Anthony Campanile is in the Arizona Cardinals coaching search. Oh, by the way, it's worth noting there are 2 teams that are going to advance to the Super Bowl on Sunday, right? Patriots, Broncos, Rams, Seahawks. We've talked very little about those games. Let's give those games a look-see, shall we? Coming up next on a Thursday night here in the city of Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us. As always, Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
There's a certain romance to radio play-by-play.
We need you to be all strong and hot.
Experience the most play-by-play sports on 1010XL.
A new year is the perfect time to finally get organized. Hey, this is Lauren Brooks, and I love our closets from Closets by Design. They create custom storage systems designed around how you actually live. From closets and garages to home offices, entertainment centers, laundry rooms, and more. Beautiful, functional storage for any space, lifestyle, and budget. Start the new year strong with 40% off plus an extra 15% off, free installation, and 18-month special financing. Schedule your free in-home consultation. Call 904-878-9393 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
Greenlaw Group is for the insured. If you think you have roof damage, call 904-302-7055 today, and they will schedule you a free roof inspection. Trust their law firm to help you fight your insurance when you need it. These storms can cause damage you may not even see yet. Call Greenlaw Group 302-7055. There's no cost to retain their law firm and no cost to have your roof inspected. They only get paid if you win. Greenlaw Group, for the insured.
He used to lay the lumber on the field.
No, I'm not a quarterback, but I like eating quarterbacks for breakfast.
Now he lays his opinions on Jaguars Today. Tom McManus. Fridays on 1010XL. Opened by Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors.
Hey gang, Prosser here. When it comes time to sell your home, don't worry about any, quote, problems you think might be related, because I've got the perfect team that will keep you right on track. In fact, they've got a guarantee that you can't beat. And that is Chad and Sandy, the agents I would call to sell my home. You see why? Your home sold guaranteed or they will buy it. Need to sell now? Chad and Sandy have instant offers. Fast, easy, and stress-free. But the promise is this. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Jacksonville homes are selling, but many take months and a low price to sell. Getting top price means aggressive marketing. Chad and Sandy Newman are the Jacksonville experts who have proven systems to drive demand to sell your home. Darcy in San Jose said, I felt too isolated in my retirement. I wanted to buy in a different area, better suited for me. I spoke to several agents who didn't seem to care. I needed to find someone I could rely on. In come Chad and Sandy, and in 3 days, the home was sold. ChadandSandy.com or 904-414-6200.
Welcome to Key Buick GMC, proudly family-owned and operated since 1943. Come see why they're North Florida's new and pre-owned truck center, conveniently located on Southside and JTB, just minutes from the St. John's Town Center. At Key Buick GMC, every new vehicle comes with our lifetime powertrain warranty. Key Buick GMC, we are professional grade. Online at KeyBuickGMC.com. Lifetime powertrain warranty covers engine, transmission, drivetrain only. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
Frank Frangie here for Coil Fencing. Since 1927, Jacksonville has trusted Coil Fencing to protect what matters. And I trust them too. From tough chain link to your commercial project to sleek aluminum fencing your HOA will love, Coil does it all. Did you know that Coil can also install, service, and maintain those automatic gates that help protect your neighborhood or business? To schedule a complimentary consultation, visit CoilJacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com. Coil Fencing, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It may be winter in Northeast Florida, but it's one of the most important times to protect your lawn. Prosser here for Julington Creek Pest Control. Their winterizer strengthens roots and improves cold tolerance. Pre-emergent treatments stop spring weeds before they ever start. What that means is you set the stage for a thicker, greener lawn when spring arrives. Call today to schedule your winter lawn treatment with Julington Creek Pest Control. Our family serving yours since 1984.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Hacker, After Dark on 1010XL.
Approaching halftime on Hacker After Dark. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up until 10 o'clock as we do every night. 1010XL, 92.5 FM. Tyler Drake, ArizonaSports.com. Also the host of the Cardinals Corner podcast. He joins us coming up here in less than 15 minutes to get the very latest on Anthony Campanile and where he stands in the Arizona Cardinals coaching search. There are still 2 championship games to go, right, on Sunday. Aaron, you're a Rams fan living in Jacksonville. One of, I'm sure, the only LA Rams fans living in Jacksonville. So maybe you have a better vibe on this than I do. I get the sense that, and maybe it'll change tomorrow going into the weekend, but everybody's been so caught up with the Buffalo situation and John Harbaugh to the Giants and what's going to happen with the Pittsburgh job and what's going to happen with the Baltimore job, which has been filled this evening, and this whole coaching carousel madness, that you kind of look at it and say, holy cow, we're less than 72 hours away from the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship game, and it's just kind of like, at least locally, blah. And I guess maybe some of that has to do with the depression that the Jaguars aren't in it. But even nationally, like you watch a lot of these national shows, you watch McAfee, you watch, Get Up or First Take or any of these shows on NFL Network, it's a lot of talk about what's going on not championship game related than what's actually going on in the championship game. And I guess that's what happens when it's Jarrett Stidham in Denver against New England. Now, LA and Seattle should be really good, but I just get the vibe that people are going to have to garner excitement for this thing coming up in the next 2 to 3 days.
I mean, I don't think anybody expected for Sean McDermott, Mike Tomlin, and John Harbaugh all to be out of a job. Well, their respective jobs, the ones that they came into this year. No one expected that. And if you did, then you need to play the lottery. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to gain a lot of national attention. I mean, and it may seem like it's taking away from the conference games because, I mean, you look at it, these are two good games that we have coming up. And even without Bo Nix not playing, I still expect Denver to keep the game close, respectable. I mean, I think eventually they would lose by 10, maybe to a late touchdown at the end. But yeah, I mean, how can you not pay attention to what's going on around in the NFL as far as coaches are concerned with those three guys losing their jobs?
Quickly, give us 60 seconds. You are a Rams fan. You are a diehard Rams fan. You're not a Johnny-come-lately. I mean, you can break down Rams football for years. Well, I like you guys on Sunday. I like you guys to win the Super Bowl. I think you're the best team left. How confident are you going into Seattle?
Confident. I am confident because they should have won both games. What they have to do is what they did against Chicago. They have to tackle, which that defense tackling was much better than it has been in the previous couple games. And they can't turn the ball over. If they can steal a possession, one in the first half, one in the second half, away from Sam Darnold, which they've proven to do, they've done it in both games so far. If they can steal a possession away and not turn the ball over, the Rams will win.
Rams got some dogs, man. Puka Nacua is a beast. Devontae Adams has been great for them. Jared Verse on the defensive side of the ball. Although Seattle, Jackson Smith and Jigma might be the best wide receiver in football. He's certainly in the conversation. That's going to be fun. And then Patriots-Broncos, I'll get more into this tomorrow night. I mean, I'm married to a New England girl, so she's all fired up for the Pats. I'm trying to get there. I think it's still the fact that Jacksonville ended so abruptly, and now Bo Nix is out for Denver, so that takes some of the steam off of Denver and New England. But all the parity we talk about in the NFL, at the end of the day, it's the 1 seed versus the 2 seed in the AFC, and it's the 1 seed versus the 5 seed in the NFC. The Rams are the outlier, yet I think anybody would tell you coming into the playoffs, the Rams might have been picked to represent the NFC more so than any other NFC team prior to the playoffs. So even though the parity did exist, it ended up with chalk here at the end. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Let's go to the desert. Anthony Campanile was in the desert earlier today, reportedly having an in-person interview with the Arizona Cardinals. Where is Camp in the Arizona Cardinal coaching search? My guy out in Arizona, Tyler Drake, ArizonaSports.com. He's also the host of the Cardinals Corner podcast. We'll talk about it next on a Thursday night here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. It's Hacker After Dark.
Climb aboard the Jacksonville Sports Radio train.
All aboard!
1010XL.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less.
Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
He thinks he knows what he's talking about.
Of course.
Find out if he does.
Is there anything else we need to know?
Catch CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco every Friday afternoon on The Franchi Show. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron, totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens, also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings, and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Spend an evening with James Taylor and his all-star band. The music icon is back on tour. September 22nd and 23rd, St. Augustine Amphitheater. The multiple Grammy Award-winning James Taylor and a night full of his biggest hits. Tickets on sale now at AXS.com. Spend the night with a friend. James Taylor.
What's up, Duval? I'm Chad Volamic, owner of Purple Heart Pools, Jacksonville's veteran-owned pool company for over 10 years. We specialize in new pool construction and pool renovations, built on military values, integrity, communication, attention to detail, and honor. Now is the perfect time to start your pool project, so when the heat hits, your pool is ready. As an Iraq War veteran and Purple Heart recipient, pride in what I do is everything. Let me show you the difference in how my team and I execute your pool project with military precision. Call Purple Heart Pools, Jacksonville's veteran pool company.
Get a healthy start in 2026. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to help you get healthy and stay healthy all year long. Our dedicated team is committed to providing high-quality care and trusted public health services for our community. Our mission is simple: to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Learn more about our programs and services by visiting duval.floridahealth.gov.
When your home or business deserves more than ordinary glass, you trust the experts. Capital Glass and Shower Doors has been elevating spaces for over 40 years with precision, craftsmanship, and clean, modern design. From sleek frameless shower enclosures to elegant glass railings, wine cabinets, and any custom glass that makes a statement, Capital Glass delivers unmatched quality, service, and attention to detail. Your vision, their expertise. Capital Glass and Shower Doors at capcoglass.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. Big news today for Jacksonville, right? Trevor Lawrence named a finalist for the Associated Press Most Valuable Player. Liam Cohen named a finalist for the Associated Press Coach of the Year. We find out Devin Lloyd is also a Pro Bowler now. And we know that both coordinators, Grant Udinski, is going to interview in person in Cleveland tomorrow and scheduled to talk with Buffalo on Sunday. And Anthony Campanile already interviewed in Miami. Of course, that job went to Jeff Hafley. He's also interviewed in Baltimore. And come to find out, he's going to talk for the second time with the Arizona Cardinals. And that is where we will head right now, to the land of the desert. Tyler Drake is our guy when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals. He's with ArizonaSports.com, and he's the host of the Cardinals Corner podcast. And Tyler's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Tyler, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Tyler, we're good. Thank you for the time. All right, we knew Miami was interested in Campanile. Then word surfaced that Baltimore was interested. The Arizona thing kind of came out of the blue, but come to find out, apparently he already interviewed with him once virtually, and now I guess he was out there today for an in-person interview. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too, and honestly, kind of a surprise for me and a lot of guys out here on the Arizona beat is we didn't really realize he had a first interview. Like, it was very much news to a lot of us that he was getting that second in-person interview after we really had a list of candidates and he was not on that first batch, second batch. I mean, I think we're on our third or fourth revised batch now after some of these guys have taken jobs, but very surprised to see him join the list. But just doing a little bit of research on him, looks like a guy who really took Jacksonville to that next step and brings a lot of attitude and a lot of grit to the position.
A lot of branches I want to get to with you, but first and foremost, it didn't work out for Jonathan Gannon out there. Why would Arizona do the same exact thing, go for a first-time head coach on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, it's interesting. I personally would think that they should go with more experience, in my opinion, just because when you look at the amount of head coaches that they've had in recent years, they've all had no prior head coaching experience. So I think if you're really trying to change the narrative, change the cycle of having to go through a head coaching search every 3 to 5 years, that's one way to do it, is get some guy that's already been there, has a little bit of a track record. Obviously, if you're looking for a head coaching job, you probably didn't do a great job at the first place you went to, but get another try at that. But yeah, defensively, it is a very similar idea. Defensive-minded guy, first-year head coach. I do see a little bit of differences in just the attitude that I think they bring to the situation. I think, Gannon was very much energized, but I do think from what I've seen, Anthony looks like he really brings a little bit of extra gusto, I should say, to the equation. So really interesting there. But yeah, with the Jonathan Gannon situation, I figured they would go complete opposite, maybe go offensive minded, get a guy who's been in the position before and go from there. But again, it's not my search, it's the Cardinals. And we're seeing a lot of different names out there right now.
Tyler Drake, host of the Cardinals Corner podcast. He's also with ArizonaSports.com. Tyler, I had you on earlier in the year when Jacksonville went out there. Good game, right? An overtime game. That was the game that Trevor turned it over like 4 times, yet the Jaguars still won. What happened to Arizona after that? Because it looks like the bottom fell out and Gannon lost his job because of it.
Yeah, it really was just it was a myriad of a bunch of things. Just you have injuries in there. You can't really put the whole excuse on there, but they certainly had an impact on how everything shook out. I think some questionable play calling. Again, I go back to the experience side of things for the head coach of it, but I think in general, they've got to get some guys with a little bit more coordinator experience who didn't come in as first-year guys, Drew Petzing, Nick Rawlis of the world. So that right there, I think, bled into it a little bit. I think just the fact that they couldn't tackle stood out a lot. I think the play went downhill, and then the development of some of these guys just wasn't there. You look at Marvin Harrison Jr., he dealt with injury on top of really not being consistent like he should have been in year 2. Obviously, Michael Wilson and Trey McBride, they went out there and blew up, but then there's also the fact of why is Michael Wilson now being looked at as a wide receiver 1 or can at least take on the workload of a wide receiver 1 when he was far, far below that in his first couple of years. So some of the usage that the personnel was being used in, that would be another thing that stood out. But all in all, I think I think everybody kind of saw the writing on the wall of this team wasn't going anywhere. And like you said, the bottom just fell out, and it went from being in these very close games to getting absolutely shredded week in and week out. It felt like in the back half of the schedule, especially when you look at some of the games against NFC West teams. I mean, they're putting up 40 points on them like it was nothing. So that right there, I think, really led to Michael Bidwell, Monty Austinforth, the owner and GM, to really make a decision. And it sounded like it came down to the last game. I think if they would have put their best foot forward and really showed a little bit more, who knows? But it did come down to that morning of, they said, hey, we're moving on. And that's all she wrote. So now you look, and that's why I think you've got to get some guy. If he doesn't have the experience as a head man, you've got to bring in some coordinators that are going to help bring you along as a first-time guy.
Jaguar defensive coordinator Anthony Campanile virtually interviewed in Arizona earlier this week. He's now meeting out there today with the Cardinals in person. Tyler, to your knowledge, how many guys have gotten second interviews thus far with Arizona?
I was just re-evaluating that this morning, and it sounds like he is the only one, to my knowledge, that has been reported that is getting a second interview. I think Robert Saleh was going to get that second one, but he took the Tennessee job instead. So that goes out of the window. But I think from all indications that I've seen, from the reporting, from the people that I've talked to behind the scenes, it sounds like he's the only one that's gotten a second interview so far.
And with that as a backdrop, I mean, would you put Anthony Campanile as one of the favorites to land that job at this point?
I'm still looking at maybe a Clint Kubiak. I'm still looking at maybe Vance Joseph. I know a lot of Cardinals fans would not like to see Vance Joseph get that head coaching job, but he does have a lot of familiarity here. He obviously is in the playoffs right now with Denver. He really turned that unit around. Was great when he was here. Just great talking to him, and actually did get the defense improving until it all collapsed in 2022. So, those are some of the names that I'm looking at, but he definitely is coming up the list. I mean, he was a name that I didn't really have on the radar. radar until really this past week. And so now you have him on there, and I would say he's probably rounding out the top 3, top 4 guys that I'm kind of looking at as the top dudes that they should go get. I mean, obviously Saleh was at the top of my list. I'd love if they would go talk to Mike McDaniel, but really does seem like those are non-starters, which obviously Saleh's with Tennessee now. But beyond that, yeah, I think those couple of names right there are probably at the top of my list where we're at. And then Raheem Morris, I don't know if I said him, but those would probably be the guys rounding out the top 4 or 5 for me.
Final moments with Tyler Drake, ArizonaSports.com. He's also the host of the Cardinals Corner podcast. Look, Tyler, there's only 32 jobs on the planet to be a head coach in the National Football League, so they are coveted positions. Having said that, whoever gets that job, that's tough, right? I mean, you got to play Shanahan, McVay, and McDonald 6 times a year. The NFC West is unbelievable right now. There are quarterback questions, which we'll get to in a moment. Campanile or not, whoever gets that job, they're going into a hard situation, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. And it's obviously you look at the quarterback situation in the draft because, all signs, in my opinion, are pointing to a split between the franchise and Kyler Murray. I think it'd be both for best sides. It's been long enough. Best for both sides just to move on. But, yeah, it's going to be tough. And you look at the lesser amount of quarterbacks in the draft. I mean, Dante Moore going back to school hurts. So really, I mean, if you're not trading up to get that number 1 spot, you're probably out of the running for the top quarterback. So from there, do you look at going back to a bridge guy like Jacoby Brissett for another year? Does that mean, hey, you don't have to have a ton of wins that first year? We'll go get you a quarterback in 2027 and then turn it on. There's going to be a lot of moving and shaking, who's going to be here, who's not, really, I think, as soon as he gets here. So very interested to see who it's going to be. And yeah, it's going to be a mountain. It's going to be a big hole for this franchise, whoever the head coach is, to climb out of for sure.
So you do feel that Kyler Murray has played his final game in a Cardinal uniform?
I do. I think if he comes back, I would be thoroughly surprised if he came back, because I just think both sides of the bridge has been burned, and I think they all just need to go their separate ways and give each other the best chance to win elsewhere. Have him be the next reclamation project of the NFL.
As we wrap up, a couple of things. Number one, Calais Campbell. We know he went back out to Arizona. The thought was 2025 was likely to be his final year. We're big fans of Calais here in Jacksonville, as you can imagine. Is that still the thought? Is that he's played his final game, or is there a chance that the door is still open for 2026?
I'm not going to close the door on Calais because he's been doing it for so long and keeps coming back and doing it at a high level. So I'm never going to close the door. It does sound like he's going to make it a decision maybe by March. So then we'll all have an idea there. I think he definitely could do one more year. The way that he played this year, and I mean, especially, field goal blocking, extra point blocks. I mean, the dude just gets it done wherever you want, defensively, obviously. So I would love to see him back here. I think he should go try to win a ring, though. I think he should go elsewhere. Maybe go back to Jacksonville, maybe see what's going on there. Or just elsewhere. I think he just needs really to go find a place where he can get one more ring, or get a ring right off into the sunset and be all good. That's my opinion. He's a great dude to work with too. Just an incredible human being.
No, he's absolutely a great guy. There is no doubt about that. All right, I want to get a quick thought from you on the Rams and the Seahawks. Obviously, you know those two teams very well, being in the division. Final thought on the coaching search. Again, Campanile from Jacksonville is out there today interviewing in person for the second interview he's had. You cover that team as close as anybody. At the end of the day, who's going to be the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals if it were you?
Oh, if I was picking, I think I would have to go with Clint Kubiak, just because he's in the division. He's done it. He knows more. Obviously, he's a newer guy. A lot of my prerequisites have been previous head coach and be in the NFC West. At least he has one of those. So I'm kind of leaning that way. I'm looking more at the offensive-minded guy. They did defensive-minded. That didn't work. So flip the script, go elsewhere, and go to a Clint Kubiak. Obviously, Robert Saleh would have been my first pick, but he can't be picked anymore. But that would be my next one. And then I'm looking at a Raheem Morris or a Vance Joseph, because I do think, for logically thinking about it, I think Vance Joseph might be the guy, just from him already having a really good rapport with this franchise. Left on good terms, interviewed after the Cliff Kingsbury regime collapsed. So they really like him. So I think at the end of the day, if I have to put money on something, I would say Vance Joseph's going to be the guy. But me personally, I think it'd be Clint Kubiak, and I got to do some more work on Anthony, but I definitely think he is one of the guys. And tell me how to say his last name correctly, because I don't think people out here are doing it correctly.
Well, there's two lines of thought. I think Camp is the easiest one. That avoids all confusion. You can either go Campanile or Campanile. So I always just call him Anthony Campanelli. Campanelli's actually another one too, but to my understanding, it's Campanile. But just go with Camp. That's the easiest thing to do.
Perfect.
That's what we do. All right, and tell me this as we wrap up. You guys saw the Rams and the Seahawks are combined 4 times. They're in the NFC Championship game. One of them is going to the Super Bowl. What's your thought on that game on Sunday?
It's another thought of just the NFC West is one of the best divisions in the league. No matter who's at the bottom, the top 3 are usually in the playoffs or fighting for a divisional conference or Super Bowl title. So it's nothing new. I expected when I saw 3 NFC West teams, I expected to see at least one get to the champion or get to the Super Bowl, and we will now see that. So it is a brutal division. And I don't see it getting any lighter anytime soon. So the Cardinals really have to get it together sooner than later.
Tyler Drake, ArizonaSports.com, and the host of the Cardinals Corner podcast. Tyler, I know you're busy. Thank you as always for the time, and we'll talk again soon, pal.
No problem, man. Thank you.
Your home for the best Jags coverage.
We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio, and 92.5 FM.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
In the game of vehicle performance and reliability, Atlantic Infinity is always the top pick. This is Hayes Carlyon. Did you know that every certified pre-owned Infinity is inspected, factory backed, with a limited warranty, and gets the same championship level service as a brand new Infinity? Every mile will feel like first class. Check out their full certified inventory now at AtlanticInfinity.com or visit Atlantic Infinity off Atlantic near St. John's Bluff.
Never have I ever called my sister from the finish line of my first marathon. Hello? You won't believe where I am. Are you running? Mile 26. I'm gonna make it.
Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e with its advanced camera system on us. Plus 2 lines for just $30 a line.
Guys, I can't believe it.
I knew you could do it, babe.
That was amazing. Mom, how do you feel? I feel great. I can't feel my feet. Let's take a picture. And then you may carry me to the car.
Share every stride, every mile, every memory on America's best network. Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e on us and 2 lines for just $30 a line.
With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 eligible port-ins on Essentials 55 Plus for well-qualified customers with autopay plus taxes, fees, and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us. Finance agreement 128 gigabytes, $599.99 required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 1H 2025. Visit T-Mobile.
Learn everything you need to know about the Jaguars on Duval Rundown. I'm Hayes Carlyon. Join me each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 9:04. You can find Duval Rundown on all the social channels of 1010XL.
Driven by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside.
When the team heats up and the temps climb high, Sunrise Heating and AC keeps you cool. That's no lie. From kickoff to overtime and every long drive, they'll keep your home feeling fresh and alive. When your system's down, don't sweat the score. Sunrise Heating and AC of North Florida is ready to restore. Fast, honest service from a local crew, keeping Jacksonville fans chill all season through. Your comfort starts here at sunriseheatingandac.com.
This is Jeff Middlecoff with Cogent Bank. My associate Ryan Salem and I joined Cogent Bank because we wanted to revolutionize the mortgage business, just like Cogent Bank has revolutionized the banking business. So Ryan Salem and I are able to leverage the power and stability of Cogent Bank to go out and find our clients the best investors, the best products, and the best rates in the entire country for your particular mortgage loan. Of course, you don't have to be a customer at Cogent Bank to take advantage of our mortgage services to buy or refinance your home. We offer jumbo loans, VA, FHA, conventional personal and investment loans. At Cogent Bank, we offer mortgages nationwide, so we can help you with a second home or help a family member who lives or is moving to another state. Call Ryan Salem or myself, Jeff Middlecoff, at Cogent Bank today, 904-442-9191, to see how we can help you with any of your mortgage loan needs, whatever or wherever they may be.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, Cogent Bank, NMLS ID 402296, Ryan Salem, NMLS ID 1182429, Jeff Middlecoff, NMLS ID 249086.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, rolling lot bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Glad you're with us. Thank you to Tyler Drake, ArizonaSports.com, and the host of the Cardinals Corner podcast. Anthony Campanile interviews out there earlier today in person. Look, we don't know what's going to happen, but based on hearing Tyler, yeah, he's in play. I mean, obviously he's in play. Might they want to go with a different direction? It seems like they're going to go defense, right? Most of the guys he mentioned, Vance Joseph, Raheem Morris, obviously Camp, are all defensive guys, which is interesting because Jonathan Gannon, who they just fired, was a defensive guy. You would have thought maybe they wanted to go the opposite of that. So we shall see. But he's in play at Arizona. Of course, we know Grant Yudinsky getting interviewed tomorrow in Cleveland and then scheduled to talk to Buffalo on Sunday. Big news in the National Football League today is one of the other job openings has been filled. Jesse Minter to the Baltimore Ravens. So Minter to Baltimore. We already know John Harbaugh to New York. Kevin Stefanski to Atlanta. You got the former Green Bay defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, to Miami. And then Robert Saleh to the Tennessee Titans. There were 10 job openings at the beginning. There are now 5 job openings. The jobs that remain open: Las Vegas, which appears to be a dumpster fire; Arizona, which also appears to be a dumpster fire; Cleveland, which appears to be an offensive dumpster fire; and then Pittsburgh and Buffalo. So on the surface, 2 pretty good-looking jobs and 3 just kind of jobs. But as we said last night, there are only 32 NFL head coaching jobs on planet Earth. So beggars can't be choosers. You got to take an opportunity when it is given to you. Speaking of the NFL, if you didn't see it earlier today, Liam Cohen, one of the 5 finalists for NFL Coach of the Year. Trevor Lawrence, one of the 5 finalists for both the NFL Most Valuable Player and the NFL Comeback Player of the Year. I don't expect either guy to win their awards, but the fact that they're finalists means they finished or are going to finish in the top 5 of voting, which is incredible. I mean, who had it on their card at the beginning of the year, even if you're the most diehard Jaguar fan, that Trevor Lawrence would be among the top 5 for the Most Valuable Player award? Who had it with Liam Cohen in year number 1 as a head coach that he would finish top 5 as NFL Coach of the Year? Crazy good accolades for Cohen and Lawrence, and you only hope it continues. Also, congratulations to Devin Lloyd. He has replaced TJ Watt on the Pro Bowl team. Of course, they don't play a game anymore. They do tug of war and dodgeball and flag football, which I'm all for, by the way. I think it's ridiculous when you used to play those games and people got hurt. So I get why they stopped playing the game. But nevertheless, a terrific honor for Devin Lloyd. He was second-team All-Pro, and now he's a Pro Bowler. And I would be absolutely stunned if he's back in Jacksonville in 2026. I think he's probably priced himself out of here because of his play on the field, but you'll get to see him at least in Jaguar apparel one more time during the Pro Bowl games coming up the week before the Super Bowl. Switching gears in a moment, we're going to talk a little college hoops. I mentioned this earlier. SEC hoops, Gator hoops, Blake Lovell does a terrific job with the Southeastern 16 podcast. It's a podcast about the entirety of the SEC, but they really hammer home college basketball at this time of the year. And we'll talk a lot about Todd Golden and the defending national champions. Look, a team that was 5-4, a team that was 9-5 after they lost their SEC opener, and all they've done in the last 2.5 weeks is beat Tennessee, Georgia, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, and LSU. They've won 5 conference games in a row. They sit 14-5, 5-1 in the SEC, and all of a sudden find themselves back in the top 20. As I've said for the longest time now, all Florida needs to do is be one of the best 16 teams going into the NCAA tournament. Because if they're one of the best 16, that means they're going to get seeded in Tampa for round 64 and round of 32 action. They will have a huge home court advantage. I don't expect Florida to lose in Tampa, and you could get into the Sweet 16 without having to leave the state of Florida if you can be a top 4 seed in one of the regions. So that's the goal for Florida. I don't care about being a 1 seed or a 2 seed or whatever. Just be among the top 16 so your first and second round games are played down in Tampa. Blake Lovell, Southeastern 16 podcast, talking Gator hoops, talking SEC hoops. He joins us next on a Thursday night here in Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
We got a great show for you today.
Join the 1010XL Podcast Network.
A big show.
Now you can find all your favorite 1010XL podcasts in your platform of choice.
A king-size show.
Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Here you can see.
This is Sheridan Tootin, Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, and Dr. Kevin Murphy put my right shoulder back together a few years ago, and I'm still feeling great. Now I'm using PRP treatment for my knee pain. No matter what you're dealing with, if you're enduring any orthopedic issue, my only recommendation is Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
Call us at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist if you ever have a need.
Leave pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
This is Dave Barker with IHRS. Are you frustrated with those trendy pills and lotions that claim to make your hair thicker and fuller? Tired of your hair falling out? Our hair restoration solutions have helped over 10,000 men and women restore their hair in as little as 2 office visits.
Call 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477 or go to hairforme.com.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick. We're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 14th.
The First Coast Games is an annual team building challenge to introduce fun activities into the workplace and focus on your employees' health and wellness goals. These goals include some friendly competition, of course, including pickleball, cornhole, volleyball, flag football, and other team sports. The games will begin in March. Register your company and teams at fcymca.org.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal, is that a turtleneck?
Can't you feel it, Jason? There's a chill in the air, a definite nip.
I mean, it is January.
In Jacksonville, Jason, I didn't come here for cold.
Well, I wouldn't call this.
Cold weather gives me the sniffles. Sniffles turns to pneumonia. Suddenly, I'm in a hospital bed with a tube down my throat because Florida didn't get the memo about ignoring winter.
So switch over to heat.
What if my system can't remember how to heat?
Dude, put on these sunglasses.
Whoa.
Bueller Air and Plumbing can make sure your system is ready to switch from cooling to heat. We'll clean your heating coil to get rid of that burning dust smell and make sure you have the coolant pressure to keep your heat pump pumping out the heat.
Huh, I had no idea these sunglasses worked in the winter.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
The Jacksonville Icemen are back in town this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday and Saturday, it's Lizard Kings weekend. Go back in time to the mid to late 90s and pay tribute to our hockey roots. The Icemen will transform into the Lizard Kings with specialty jerseys and themed music. Friday, the first 2,000 fans get a Tom Coughlin bobblehead. Tickets at Ticketmaster, JacksonvilleIcemen.com, or call 904-602-POP. Iceman hockey is #Sub-Zero.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Hey folks, it's Frank Frangie for Lee and Kate's Glass, and I think you deserve a spa-like shower, don't you? Get rid of that dirty, dated setup you have in your bathroom. Those old-style showers can be really ugly. Install a gorgeous frameless shower with thick, sexy glass and a free diamond coating protection that's easier to clean, like Rain-X for your shower. Your bathroom will feel like a luxury spa every morning and night. You deserve it. Visit my friends at leeandkatesglass.com.
You're gonna see a big difference.
What Major League Baseball player has the most stolen bases in his career?
Just letting your homeowner's insurance renew each year may cost you money. Shop around and you may find a better plan. Let Southern Oak Insurance give you an option at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Oakland A's outfielder Ricky Henderson stole 1,406 bases during his career, including 130 in 1982.
Southern Oak Insurance, our family protecting yours.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Florida Gator basketball team did not get off to a hot start here defending their national championship. They were 5-4 on the year, but all of a sudden you look now, they've won 9 out of their last 10. They're 5-1 in SEC play. They got a big game against Auburn coming up this weekend, and Florida is back in the top 20 in America. Let's talk about the Gator basketball team, the turnaround that Todd Golden has done with this squad, with Blake Lovell. He is the host of the Southeastern 16 podcast, and Blake's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Blake, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
Yeah, doing well, Ryan. Yeah, it's obviously been a pretty busy season to this point, and yeah, the SEC looks a little different than it did last year, but seems like still in a pretty good position. And what do you know, the Gators sitting at the top yet again.
You know, you and I spoke weekly there towards the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament a year ago, and I think we knew when you lose Elijah Martin, obviously Walter Clayton and Will Richard, we knew there were going to be some bumps in the road, Blake. Before we talk about the 9 out of 10, let's talk about the beginning of the year. I mean, Florida was in every game. They just couldn't find a way to win these games down the stretch, whether you're talking about Duke, UConn, Arizona. What was your thought on the start to the Gator season?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's if you watch the games played out and you're just kind of, I think it probably, if you're a Florida fan, it's like, well, we only lost by 1, we lost by 4, we lost by 6, and so forth. It probably made you even more frustrated than if you'd have lost by 15, because you're just thinking, man, we are literally, 2 plays away from kind of being in the same position we were last year, and, having all this momentum and feeling pretty confident in replacing those guys you mentioned. But you just couldn't make enough of those plays. And I think that's obviously been the difference in the turnaround, is that when you look back at those games early in the season, all those bounces seemed to be going the other team's way. And it seemed like Florida just could not make a shot at the right time. They'd have a turnover at the wrong time, and that kind of stuff, or else someone beats them to a rebound. Well, none of that's happening now. And I think, again, that's kind of been the difference. This team had to sort of get a little bit more on-court experience together. I think that was a big part of it, where you just had guys that have a bit different styles, obviously, in the backcourt and how they play off of each other. But now that that's meshed together, it's just a completely different picture than what it was, a month and a half ago.
Blake Lovell, the host of the Southeastern 16 podcast, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Blake, we'll talk about the front court in a moment, but clearly the backcourt was the struggling unit at the beginning of the year. Boogie Flan, Xavier Lee, and I don't know what happened over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I think Boogie Flan came out of his little rut first. He started playing really well 4 or 5 games ago. And then Xavier Lee, that performance against Vanderbilt, obviously also what he did in the win over LSU. It looks like the 2 highly regarded transfer portal acquisitions are beginning to live up to the hype.
Yeah, they are. And I think, again, when you just kind of look at the way they were playing early in the season, it seemed like more than anything to me, it's like, well, it's kind of 2 guys that are really trying to sort of figure out each other a little bit in terms of how they're playing together. And I think obviously with Lee, to me, it was never a matter of, can this guy play at this level? It was just simply, hey, you know how this goes. When you get off to a bad start, and let's say you're not making shots, that as a shooter can be something that really, develops into a trend, and not a good trend. And I think it became just kind of a mental type confidence deal with him. But you're like, okay, once the shots start falling, this guy's going to be fine. Is he Walter Clayton? No, but he still can be the person that kind of is the catalyst in this offense that gets things going, gets the ball where it needs to be, and again, can make some shots. And I think, again, that's sort of been the difference here when you look at how they've turned this thing around, is that he just seems to have more confidence. Well, the same can be said for Boogie Flan now at this point, because you're looking at a guy that I think, for all the talk last year about kind of the impact he was going to have on Arkansas, and, there were injuries and all this kind of stuff, you still knew that the potential was there for this to be a guy who can take over a game. And now I think he's realizing that. He's realizing, hey, I don't have to necessarily press all the time. I don't have all this pressure on me. I've just got to go out and kind of play the game that I can play. And I think his defensive stuff is just as important as his offense. And I think people don't talk about that enough. And so, yeah, these 2 guys, the confidence is higher than it was early in the season. But I think it's simply because they play more basketball together, and they kind of understand what each needs to be successful in Todd Golden's system.
Well, and let's be honest about it too, Blake. I mean, the bottom line is we all talked about how good the front court was. It was all about replacing Martin, Richard, and Clayton. And there was an awful lot of pressure on these guys. And maybe, early in the year they weren't living up to it. So obviously the pressure was building. But now it appears maybe that pressure is somewhat removed.
Yeah, and I don't think you have as much pressure, and that's where it is nice to have the front court that you have that takes a little bit off of you. But at the same time, again, it's like when you're going into the season, And you hear everyone talking about, can they replace Walter Clayton? Can they replace all these guys? And you're hearing that. You know that is the role that you are now thrust into. Yes, I'm sure you got paid a nice penny to be put into that role, but still, it's like you're expected to be the guy if you're Boogie Fland on the defending national championship team that, oh, by the way, also wants to win the national championship again. No one wants to win the title one year and then not win it the next. And so it's kind of one of those where, once you, again, can kind of ease into that sort of situation, you're going to feel a lot better about just your overall skill and how you're meshing with everybody else. And I think simply by playing some of the games they played earlier in the year, too, was very important. The type of opponents they played has really helped them so far in SEC play.
Blake, one of the biggest surprises to me as we go to the front court now is Ruben Chenyolu. Look, I always made the comparison with him that he was Donnell Harvey from back in the day, a ferocious rebounder, a good defender, but you weren't going to get that much from him on the scoring front. He now, in the last 4 games, is the first Gator since David Lee to have 4 consecutive double-doubles. I mean, he's one of the most improved players, not only in the SEC, but in the country on the offensive end. What has gotten into Ruben Chenyolu?
Yeah, I'd love to know because, like you said, he has just been fantastic. And I think that, when you talk about role adjustments on this team, by moving, Thomas Houck to the 3 and just knowing kind of how they were going to play this season, you knew there was going to be a little bit of shift in responsibility of what certain guys were going to be expected to do. And again, how that was going to kind of play into their role in terms of expanding in this area or being a little bit more reliable in that area. And when you see the way that Chenyolu has just been able to put it all together, it has been remarkable. And I think, I was thinking about this the other day. If you had to pick, an SEC player of the year right now, a lot of people are probably going to point to LeBaron Philon, even Darius Acuff. I mean, Thomas Houck would have a great argument for it. But if we're talking about a guy that perhaps has had the most impact on a number of games this season, I think you could put Chenyolu right there and say he could very well wind up being a guy by the end of the season that is a player of the year candidate, legitimate, like he can sort of beat all these other guys. And that's just how good he's been. And that's how impactful he's been pretty much everywhere on the court. And like you said, I think just the offensive element, look at what they're doing rebounding wise and how he's kind of the catalyst for that. He has been remarkable, no question.
Final moments with Blake Lovell, the host of the Southeastern 16 podcast. With Chenyolu, you obviously talk about Thomas Houck, Alex Condon, Micah Handlocked, and there are certain games. I'll go back to Oklahoma. I'll go back to the LSU game. Heck, you could even argue Georgia and Tennessee in conference play. That front court takes the opponent's will away from them. There are just certain moments where they just keep getting rebounds, they keep getting block shots, and you can just see the will of the opponent being zapped.
Yeah, I mean, it happens so often, and we always say, like, basketball is just, it's a game of matchups. Like, it's not that complicated. And when you look at teams out there and how they try to match up with Florida, Vanderbilt was an example I used the other day. Maybe it's not as good of an example anymore because they've kind of hit a skid here, but it's like, everyone was coming into SEC play saying, well, Vanderbilt is really going to struggle with a team like Florida. And I'm like, well, I think a lot of teams are really going to struggle with a team like Florida because I just don't think there's a lot of teams out there, less than probably 5, that you feel like that can match up at those key positions and be able to replicate what Florida does from a production standpoint with that group. And I still think that's one where even if, let's say, the guard play dips back a little bit, I'm not saying it can be poor, but it doesn't have to be perfect every single night because I still think you have a group with the front court that's going to find ways to win them games sometimes, even if it's not always perfect, even if it's not pretty for 40 minutes, they're going to find a way just because they have a combined skill set that I just do not see elsewhere in college basketball, maybe outside of a few select teams. And that is why I still think, for me, I think it's pretty clear right now, Florida's the favorite to win the SEC. But if we're looking further into the picture into March, I don't think there's any doubt that the way this team is structured right now, they can absolutely get back to the Final Four and have another chance to win a national championship.
Blake, as we begin to wrap up, we all knew Todd Golden was a terrific coach. Obviously, he won the national title last year. But when the team starts 5-4, and even after that Missouri loss to go to 9-5, it would have been easy to say, woe is me. We won the title. We lost 3 guards to the NBA. We're just not getting it done. This is not our year. But they've gone the exact opposite of that. They've won 5 games in a row. They've won 9 out of 10 overall. Golden keeping this team together through the tough times in the non-conference. I think he did a really, really good job.
Absolutely. I mentioned the confidence stuff earlier. I'd love to kind of, hear the conversations that are being had, between him and his staff and specifically, let's say Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee. Like, I would love to know that, because that had to be a big part of this turnaround. And look, this from just covering all kinds of sports. Like, coaches understand, like, when you are in this spot, when you do have all this pressure on you, it can be a sort of a delicate balance when it comes to, all right, we have to meet a certain standard. We're the defending national champions. And yes, like, we're going to be very angry when we don't play like that, when we can't meet that expectation. But at the same time, if you do have guys that are acclimating, trying to figure each other out a little bit, and again, maybe having some confidence issues when it comes to just making a shot, those are the little things that sometimes coaches have to be able to navigate to put themselves in a position where they can have a team that can turn it around and start playing like Florida is right now. And so you have to give Todd Golden a lot of credit for that. He's put these guys in a position to be successful. And now I think they're kind of just looking at it and feeling like, hey, this is why we put together this roster in the offseason. People were questioning it early in the season. Man, we should have got this guy. We should have got that guy. But now you're understanding that this is the vision they had for this. And he's a big reason why I think they put themselves in this position right now.
Blake, final question. We got about 60 seconds. The conference as a whole, probably not what it was last year, but still some very good basketball teams. Florida, Texas A&M is obviously a surprise. What's your thought on the overall strength of the conference?
Yeah, I think it's one where you could still see the SEC get more teams in the tournament than anyone. The difference is you probably aren't saying that the SEC is going to have 6 Sweet 16 teams. And I think that's going to be the big thing we talk about once we get to the tournament, is I just don't know if there's that upside with a lot of these teams. You kind of see a flaw with everybody, maybe outside of Florida right now, which even again, Florida doesn't always shoot it great. You could have some of those, offensive lulls at the guard position, but there are a lot of other teams that surely can beat each other. We've seen that already. You can look at the standings to understand how that's going, but I just think there's a lot more teams that, again, kind of have some weaknesses that could be exploited in the wrong matchup. You felt like there were just some dominant teams last year. And so I think that's going to be the difference. You could still get 10 teams in, but how many teams advance to the Sweet 16 and beyond, that I think is more in doubt than it was a season ago.
Blake, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about the Southeastern 16 podcast and where they can find you.
Yeah, I always appreciate it, Ryan. Yeah, you can head over there, Southeastern 16 on YouTube, any podcast app you use, of course, daily basketball stuff in the SEC. And yeah, a lot of fun, another fun season in this league, and we'll have it all covered there at Southeastern 16.
Blake Lovell of the Southeastern 16 podcast. Blake, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll talk again soon, pal.
Sounds great, Ryan. Thanks, man.
And thank you to Blake Lovell of the Southeastern 16 podcast for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Blake was one of our main guys last year during conference tournament play and, of course, the NCAA tournament. He does a great job with the Southeastern 16 podcast, talking SEC basketball as the Florida Gators find themselves now 5-1 in conference play, winners of 5 in a row and 9 out of their last 10. They have a big game coming up on Saturday against Auburn. And Florida, look, they were 5-4. They were struggling. Things were not going well. And all of a sudden, you look now, and the defending national champions sit 14-5 and are tied atop the Southeastern Conference. So a terrific turnaround from Todd Golden and that team. Boogie Flan is playing considerably better. Xavier Lee is playing considerably better. And the Florida Gators are on quite the roll. And speaking of a roll, boy, their big man, Ruben Chinyelu, my gracious, 4 consecutive double-doubles. First Gator to do that since David Lee. You got to go back a long way to find the last time a Gator player has had 4 straight double-double performances. So Ruben Chinyelu getting it done, including a 15-point, 21-rebound performance in that Tuesday night win over LSU. So we certainly talked a lot about that. We talked about Anthony Campanile interviewing out in Arizona today, and we spent a lot of time on the 1-year anniversary. 1 year ago today, Trent Baalke was fired as general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, it's Not a great thing to celebrate anybody losing their job. I mean, that's kind of bad, to be honest, morbid a little bit. But that was the changing of the guard, right? It was a different day. Everything has been different here in Jacksonville since Balky lost his job, and today's the 1-year anniversary, so we certainly spent some time on what the last year here in Jacksonville has looked like. And keep in mind, you saw today Liam Cohen, a finalist for Coach of the Year, Trevor Lawrence, a finalist for MVP. Crazy how things can turn around so quickly in just a 12-month span. Well, that will just about do it, man. Very, very busy Thursday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Blake Lovell, the Southeastern 16 podcast. Thank you to Tyler Drake, host of the Cardinals Corner. You also check his work out at ArizonaSports.com. He's our guy when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals. As Anthony Campanile, the defensive coordinator here in Jacksonville, has already virtually interviewed with Arizona once. He was out there again today for an in-person interview. We talked to Tyler about how much in play Anthony Campanile is for that Cardinals job. And remember, Grant Udinski interviews in Cleveland tomorrow. He's set to interview with Buffalo on Sunday, as both Jaguar coordinators very much involved in this coaching carousel here during the NFL offseason. And then finally, back in hour number one, my buddy Ryan O'Halloran, Florida Times Union, Jacksonville.com, as we went down memory lane. It was a year ago today. I had Ryan on not once, not twice, but 3 different times. We had to record different interviews because of the craziness of January 22nd, 2025, when Trent Baalke lost his job after Liam Cohen took his name out of the running. It was a crazy day, and I thought it'd be fitting to have Ryan on the 1-year anniversary of that. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Friday to close out the week here on Hacker After Dark, beginning at 8 o'clock. Aaron Williams was your producer tonight. Aaron, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Thursday evening with us right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have a terrific remainder of your Thursday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night to close out the week on a Friday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
Okay, stop. This is a family movie.
Sports talk and entertainment for Jacksonville. This is 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Get ready for an unforgettable night of classic rock with legendary Queensryche vocalist Jeff Tate. Performing